Have you ever wondered if animals can feel love, just like we do? This story might change the way you see the world forever. It was a bright Sunday morning, and the city zoo was buzzing with laughter and excitement. Among the happy crowd was a 3-year-old boy named Liam, his eyes wide with wonder, while his parents were busy admiring the flamingos. One creature captivated him completely: a massive silverback gorilla sitting alone in his enclosure. He looked powerful, but there was a sadness in his eyes that Liam seemed to notice. Drawn by an invisible force of curiosity, the little boy toddled away from his parents and toward the gorilla's habitat. "Monkey," he giggled, pulling himself up onto the railing for a better look. And then, in a heartbeat, the unthinkable happened. A slip, a gasp, a scream that pierced the cheerful atmosphere. Liam's tiny body tumbled nearly 15 feet, landing in the dusty grass inside the gorilla's cage. The world froze. People screamed in terror, their cameras dropping to the ground. Inside the enclosure, the huge male gorilla, whose name was Koba, turned his head sharply, his deep, dark eyes locked onto the small, fallen boy. Chaos erupted. "Someone call the zookeeper," a woman shrieked. "Oh my God! He's going to hurt him!" Another cried out. Liam whimpered softly, but he managed to crawl to his feet, brushing dirt from his knees. The crowd's screams were deafening, but inside the cage, an eerie silence fell. Koba stood up slowly, powerfully. He pounded his chest once, a display of sheer strength, and began walking toward the child. Each heavy step seemed to shake the ground. The boy froze, his small body trembling with fear. But then, Koba stopped. He sat down right beside Liam. His enormous arm rested gently near the child, not as a threat, but as a shield. Liam, still unsure, blinked and then reached out his tiny hand toward the giant ape. Gasps rippled through the crowd. To everyone's astonishment, Koba extended his own massive hand. For a moment that felt like an eternity, they just sat there, a boy and a beast. Two souls connected by a silent understanding. Suddenly, a younger, more aggressive gorilla charged from the corner, roaring in alarm at the commotion. The crowd screamed even louder, certain this was the end. But before the young gorilla could reach Liam, Koba leapt to his feet, blocking the way. A thunderous roar shook the air as Koba challenged the other gorilla, his chest heaving, his stance unyielding. The other gorillas immediately backed away. The mighty silverback stood guard, a living wall between the child and any danger. Minutes felt like hours. Liam, overwhelmed and tired, began to cry softly. Koba looked down at him, and then, in an act that defied all expectation, he gently scooped the boy up with both hands. The crowd held its breath. Some screamed, some prayed, but Koba didn't harm him. He cradled the child against his broad chest, just like a father holding his baby. He carried Liam to a shady spot, sat down, and began rocking him gently, even brushing the dust from his hair. Cameras were rolling, reporters were shouting, and zookeepers watched with tears in their eyes. Frozen in disbelief, for nearly an hour, the gorilla refused to let anyone near, his gaze protective and cautious. Finally, Koba stood up. He walked slowly, carefully, toward the gate where the zookeepers waited. And there, without a sound, he gently placed the boy on the ground. Then, he stepped back and sat down, as if to say, "He's yours now. Take care of him." Liam was rushed to the hospital, but he didn't have a single scratch on him. The world watched the footage in disbelief. A creature we often label as wild had shown more compassion and tenderness than many humans ever do. Koba was later moved to a larger sanctuary, where he lived out his days in peace, always calm, always watching. And sometimes, when little children passed by his enclosure, he'd move closer, as if he still remembered that incredible day. This story reminds us that sometimes, the ones we fear the most are the ones with the kindest hearts. Compassion isn't about species, it's about soul. If a gorilla could show such profound love and protection for a stranger's child, what's stopping us from showing that same love to one another? Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories that remind us of the good in the world.